We're going to be discussing what all you kind of need in general to start your triathlon racing career. So, what we're going to be looking at is kind of how I prepare kind of the day before or whatever. I'm packing all my stuff, make sure I have everything ready to go. I actually lay it out like this, and I lay it out by just general clothes, lay it out by swim, bike, and run, just to make sure I have everything, kind of go through the mental process of checking everything on my list. I go through mentally in the race just to make sure I have everything when I'm packed and ready to go before I just stick it on my bag, just to make sure I've got everything before I load up. So we're just going to go through the whole process here. So got my transition bag, everything to stick it in there too. And I've written my name on the bag. I don't know if you could see that here, but I write it on the straps. I'll write my name on there because sometimes you'll show up to transition, people have exact same bags. Ran into that problem one year. My wife was going through someone else's bag looking for something of mine, looking for the keys to the car. So that allows you and other people, if they have to get your stuff, they can find your stuff and make sure it's your stuff. And if it gets lost, hopefully someone can track you down and give you your stuff. So key, label your transition bag with your name, permanent marker, I suggest. But generally, this is the items I generally would wear to a race. Notice I do have, a nice pair of underwear because afterwards I also want to change, and we'll go over a little bit kind of the process of afterwards. But I like to change into comfortable clothes because usually it's going to be a 30-45 minute drive or process to get back home. So I don't want to be in my nasty triathlon gear. So I make sure I've got a fresh pair of everything. I've got shorts, underwear, I got a t-shirt, I got a new pair of socks, not the ones I'll be racing in. Usually I wear flip-flops. I'll put the socks on and wear flip-flops. It may look a little dorky, but it also saves you from getting blisters. Have a separate hat, Boco Gear Ambassador, shameless plug. I also bring warm clothes. I just lay it out just in case, because usually in the mornings, even during the summer, it can be a little chilly. So you don't want to sit there and shiver to death and waste all your energy freezing to death. So I have just a jacket, hat, just to have on hand in case it's a little bit chilly. And sometimes I'll wear like sweatpants if it is really super chilly. So going on to the swim. So usually you'll see these are new packages. Usually I will bring backup gear. So I'll throw in a new goggles, a new, I have to wear earplugs because water gets stuck in my ear usually. So I will bring backups to that. I'll use the gear that I've been using typically and then have that as backup. I've got cream for all these sensitive spots that I usually put on in the morning when I'm getting dressed, because usually what I wear is the undershorts I wear for the race. I might put on my race tri-suit, kind of the bottom half, leave the top half unzipped and not on. And then I'll put in my regular gear on top of that just to make sure I have a couple layers to keep warm. But before I do that, I make sure that I've got extra lubrication on all the sensitive areas. So swim caps usually provided by the event. If you use a heart rate strap, make sure you pack that. I'm always wearing my Garmin, so just make sure you bring your watch if you want to track the information. I do tri-tats usually. I need to renew it because I'm running out of numbers. But I have my tri-tats. I usually get them out the morning before, lay them, or the day before, lay them out. So in the morning, I put them on before I leave the house. It's kind of a pain in the butt if you try to do it during race morning and you're trying to get in transition, all that. So I lay them out the day before. But there's my tri-tats. And wetsuit. I've got Xterra full sleeve. I use it all the time. I bring it with me. And even during the summer races, I mean, there's been chances where it rains the night before and it cools down enough that it's wetsuit legal. I always bring it. And just, there's a rare circumstance where I don't bring it. Then I've also got my speed suit, so I wear that if it is not wetsuit legal or optional. I got my tri-slide that I spray on around the neckline and shoulders and everywhere to keep lubricate, especially if you're wearing a wetsuit. You get rashes all over the place if you don't put ample supply of this around your neck, and make sure everything keeps lubricated. For the bike and the run, I wear my tri-suit. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy a top of the line. If you're a Tri-Club member for Set the Pace Triathlon, you go to the member site. There should be a nice discount code that you can get their stuff at a reasonably reduced price. This is the Ultra Suit. It's done for the Zoot race team, but you can also get it different styles for just anybody off the street. I love this thing. I've already been training in it. It's a zipper top, so you can unzip it for the guys and go to the bathroom. You don't have to take fully off. It's very comfortable, very breathable. It's the pockets, side pockets. They've got one big pocket in the back. It is excellent. I'm knocking stuff over, but just a shameless plug for Zoot Tri Team because I like that suit. But so this is either a two-piece or whatever you're going to wear For the bike and for the run, usually the shorter races, I wear the same thing. I wear the same thing for entire races, even for full Ironman races. But if you want to maybe do a change, make sure you have your bike gear and your run gear clothing. So I've got that. So for bike, I've got my helmet, I've got my shoes, I've got socks that I'll wear, and in transition, I will put lubrication in the sock because that will last me the entire race. I do not usually change socks unless it's a full Ironman for the run. So I use the same socks, but I load them up with, and we'll go over a transition setup later, but I load the toes up with Aquaphor and get them ready for the race. And that's part of my gear. So I got my nutrition. This is kind of just general stuff that I use, hot shot and shots and other stuff that you put in your transition area, put on your bike. Sunscreen is important, especially during the summer, to make sure that you spray it on before the race and in T1 and T2, because you don't want to get sunburn out there, even if it is a sprint race or Olympic, you get sunburnt in a hurry. Sunglasses, if this does have a visor for my Rudy Project Ween 57 helmet, it is not here in the pile, but if you don't have a visor, you definitely need sunglasses for the bike because you want that protection for your eyes. You don't want rocks or anything fly up in your face. And if you use it, I use this for the bike and for the run. So I have sunglasses for the run that I also wear. I have my water bottles. So generally I fill one up with a sports drink. I use UCAN, and the other one I fill up with water, just because the shorter races usually will not have aid stations on the bike, 70.3, 140.6. You have aid stations, so that's a kind of a different story, but this is more towards just to kind of get you going. But I have my water bottles I carry with me on the bike. I have a transition mat. I would also recommend, if you can't find one, is T-Mac Pro. I believe they're still around. If you look on Amazon, you can find them. If you have a question about it, you can send me an email or give me a message, and I'll get you a link to them. But I lay this out in the transition area. It's very bright yellow. It's easy to tell where my stuff is. That way you can put all your stuff on it. It doesn't get on the ground. It doesn't get all nice and gross. So this unravels, bear with me, to a nice mat area. We'll show you that in the transition setup, but it's a nice mat. You lay all your stuff on. Obviously you could tell it's been through a lot, but you could use a towel if you want to. So just something to kind of lay on the ground so all your stuff's just not sitting directly on the ground. Races, transitions can be in the grass, they can be in asphalt, parking lot, wherever. So that's something I bring as well. So I got all my nutrition stuff, and I bring extra electrical tape because you never know when you're going to need to tape your handlebar tape or anything that comes up and you need to attach to your bike. I bring a spare tube that fits my race wheels. They have the 60 millimeter valve stem. It has removable core, so I can use valve extenders. I always bring one in my backpack just in case you get the transition, you find you have a flat tire, you want to change it real quick. I have a spare changing kit on my bike, but I always bring a tube in my transition bag. I bring a marker just for the event something goes wrong with body marking and you need to put your right number on or change something. I always bring that just in case, you never know. And if it gets busy, sometimes, just have a friend do it out and before you walk into transition if they're checking you, something like that. So for the run, I usually wear a run visor, or I got a body band, just a head sweatband that I wear sometimes. I've got my race belt bib because usually I put that on after the bike ride. Got my running shoes. Now sometimes I might wear that to the race in the morning, but just be careful. Bring flip-flops or something else, because if you leave this in transition and you're walking around, you're going to be walking around barefoot unless you bring something else. So make sure you pay attention to that. So for after the race, and I always bring a bag for all the nasty clothes because you're going to want to put them somewhere and you don't want them touching everything else, because all this stuff after you get in the water, you bike, you run, sunscreen, all this lubrication, everything, it's going to be nasty and gross. Bring a bag. And I also have another bag for all the loose little stuff because I don't want it lost in my bag. So all this little stuff goes in one bag so I can find it later. So you have your after race stuff. So you got the water bottle here for afterwards. So if you want to take like a mini shower, hose off everything that's kind of gross, make sure you have a towel with you afterwards. So this is separate than if you use a transition towel. So this is a towel you just pack in your bag for afterwards so you can wipe off all the sweat and gross and grime. So have a little water you can dump over your head just in case you don't have water available afterwards. I always bring an extra water bottle I fill this with water and put it and leave it in transition. So this is purely to wash my feet off after the swim. So after I come out, I can wash off my feet. Afterwards, I have a water bottle, and I've also got other wipes and everything to kind of do a little quick wipe off in the parking lot. I've got alcohol wipes that'll wipe off either body markings, or it will also take off the tri-tats. I just got monkey wipes in case I need to do anything with my bike and my chain, so you get grease all over yourself, you can wipe it off. But the key with the towel is make sure it is a big enough towel that you can put around your waist for the guys and change out, and you can be a little conspicuous about it, or you could just change in your car. But a nice big towel so you can change, put it around your waist so you can change your shorts and everything, because like I said, I like to can do a complete change. I don't like to wear all my sweaty gross stuff home in the car on the drive home, so that's a key as well. So the water bottle that you use to wash your feet, and the water bottle that you just, or water that you just bring with you to have with you in the car afterwards to kind of hose off. That is a key to making sure you're a little bit comfortable after race too, so you're not just staying in your gross grime and sweat and smelling awesome and disgusting at the same time. So that is a general overview, and I'm showing you on our dining room table because this is generally how I do it. I just lay it all out, lay it out by transition,